All right, I'm back where I left off. So, JYK. So, yeah, she made me feel like a young kid again, you know, even towards the aspects of back then where I experienced my first love, another girl, you know, that girl who was my first love then. I can basically relay that, just going off of her name was Memory, you know. Wasn't that it's not that hard to not remember a girl named Memory, right? That's another story for another time. But anywho, JYK is the focus here. Yes, JYK. When I first laid eyes on her in that video, in that sketch, I was immediately whisked into the Limerence trance. After watching that video, which I truly remember then, I watched like a couple of times. I can't tell you how many times I watched it, but I watched it a lot. Then I came across her even further upon gathering and researching after that. She was, I got to learn that she was an up and coming, like, of the, you know, being also a millennial, up and coming social media influencers, that big wave and craze of millennials like myself who were social media influencers, getting big through like the past platforms then, such as Vine. You know, it was either Vine or YouTube or even early IG back then, right? But it was mainly Vine. She got big off of, being one of those big social media influencers, getting big off of Vine when Vine was a thing then. But yeah, uh, yeah. So saw some of her work through Vine, and I found out that she is an up and coming actress as well. But her bread and butter came from being a social media influencer. But she was a bona fide, trying to be a legit, also just mainly actress. She's also of course um, a model, right? You know, not like the traditional model, obviously. Especially in the modern day, how models can be of different facets than the regular how models came to be in that whole field of career work itself. But yeah, also a model too. But yeah, JYK, man. So just summarizing it, man, it was this ever since 2013, year in, year out, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So pretty much to keep it into focus here, JYK was a girl that I just inwardly, innately got inspired to just like don't get me wrong, I did still, you know, you know, me being myself, then early 20s, right? Still trying to, understand myself and know what I would favor in a woman, women in general, here and there, But JYK, innately I made the decision that I would be better and try and do my best to be a better person, a better man, uh, a growing individual, to learning how to be whole within myself. And if I ever had the opportunity to ever meet her in person, then hopefully, maybe, just maybe, that I would at least be confident and whole within myself, where regardless of the situation or whenever it could possibly happen, that I would meet her out there in real life in the 3D, right? That I would at least be myself, love myself, and just in general, just show that love as much as I felt so much love from every bit of what I learned of her, what she was willing to share out there on the interwebs of who she is and what she, you know, who she possibly is and what she's about, right? So JYK became like a staple of like the woman that was like everything that I could ever even dream, right? Just that kind of woman, man. Beyond any other woman that I, you know, looked at, whether online or in real life, JYK became a constant to me, to just be like, I even had to summarize it up to myself, even once it got to this point today, this year, in fact, that if it had to be one woman that I could ever, like, if it was the end of the world and I could only see myself or have the opportunity to spend at least one day with one woman, if it was really like the end of the world or the last day that I would be alive, it would be JYK. That's how deep it was to me. And I say was as past tense because I can finally say that as of this year, 2026, that I finally broke past that limerence trance that I was in for this woman for almost 13 years, since 2013, or at least since near the latter half of 2013 when I first came across her. If I could ever if I could ever write this as a story to make into like a feature, a movie, I would title it The Limerence High. Because, man, they say there's magic. Magic exists. And I do believe in magic, even beyond the constructs of this world. There is such thing as anything is truly possible. And there is magic. Magic does exist. And being in a limerence trance based on a woman like that is quite the odyssey for a man's own self-discovery journey, and knowing that a man who hasn't truly been in any actual significant relationships with any other woman, regardless, yes, being able to speak to women, being able to interact and be mutual with women and be cordial, but nothing upon any intimacy of seriousness with any other woman, but just to believe that this one woman could possibly be that woman, even though she may not be. And granted, I've already come up to sum up the focus that she's not the one, but I won't deny that she was a significance in my own history of my story to help me understand and help me get to the point within my own self-actualization and my own journey to understanding and being whole within myself before I ever could know my person, my purpose mate, my missing rib, that she was a support and a help, even from far away and impersonally, to help me upon my own personal journey as a man. So, yeah, that's my story. That's the story of Just a guy who came across a girl, even though not personal or in real life. I just came across this girl on one random day back in late summer of 2013. They got caught in a Limerence high, more than sprung, a magical, a magical attraction to a woman that I may and probably won't ever meet in person, not in this lifetime. But I will say, lastly, to wrap this up, that I have actually been close as of this year. Funny enough, as of this year, me being where I am, not breaking any walls because this is a real story, but me being here in Georgia, and for some apparent reason since last month, she actually traveled out here to the state of Georgia, that I found out like almost like 2 weeks later, like the beginning of last month. This happened, like, found out this was like the 8th of February. She came out here randomly, visited the city, little town of Bogart, Georgia, just for a little visit, a run through, just a visit. Guess she was with a friend, right? Found this out through a post on her social media, IG. I was like, wow, she was that close in real life of even me being out here in the state of Georgia. She was, I mean, Bogart, Georgia, from where I stay presently, which I won't disclose here, but just the estimate towards anybody viewing this, Bogart, Georgia, from my current residence is just about a little more than an hour out from where I stay presently. So this girl who put me in a limerence trance for almost 13 years, and I finally cut ties, and I finally severed something that no longer could serve me any better of where I'm going for my future, was really close and was within the same state for just a day at most. And I knew that I definitely had to move on, move forward, because it was time. And she wasn't going to serve me any more personal, you know, positive influence any longer, because I reached my own personal inner goal of learning myself more in depthly, working through my own personal issues, doing the shadow work, doing the positive reconstructioning and understanding of my personal likes, interests, and loving myself first, and serving in my own self-love first above anyone else, before I could ever share the extension of beyond measure of the love that I have, the love that I have that is within me from my Creator, from God, from Jesus, an unconditional love like no other, that I know I do have now more than ever for myself, and what I will share in any measures to others moving forward. So that's my story. If this was ever possibly made into a movie one day, maybe it would be titled The Limerence High. In that scene.